Secrets of Women in Witchcraft, Rewriting Magical History. Merry meet everyone, I'm Witch Hazel, and today I want to talk a little bit about some of the women of witchcraft who inspired my early studies. I wanted to make this video as something of a tester to see how you like the theme. If you find the information interesting, please let me know in the comments so I can do a reprisal when we get closer to Women's History Month. That was my thought. To begin with, I wanted to point out that when we think of things like the Burning Times or witchcraft fairy tales, we typically think of women, right? So why is it when we begin to learn about the modern witchcraft movement and neopaganism, we're flooded with the names of men? Aleister Crowley, Gerald Gardner, Alexander Sanders, Stuart Farrar, Scott Cunningham, and the list goes on. Now, don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against these men, and they certainly played a very important role in the development of modern witchcraft and its related religions. I've just always found it a bit odd. In the case of both Sanders and Farrar, these men had wives who were at least equally influential in the movement. And while I think many witches know about Janet Farrar, far fewer people know about Maxine Sanders. Therefore, I've chosen 4 women of witchcraft whose names came up the earliest and most often in my early years as a witch to showcase for you today. All of these women chose a life path with a high degree of rebellion when we look at the societal norms of their active years, and they deserve significant credit for that alone, I think. So if any of them inspire you to dig into your own life path, but maybe you're not so sure where to start, remember you can pick up my life path resources to help you think through your divine purpose and work out a plan for incorporating it into your everyday activities. More information on that is in the description, of course. We're going to start with the witch who has had the biggest impact on my study, and that has to be Janet Farrar. The well-researched books that she compiled and published with her husband are irreplaceable to me in terms of depth of history and folklore, while still managing to be concise and clear. The Farrars' A Witch's Bible is the one witchcraft reference I can't see ever being without. Next on the list, we've got Doreen Valiente, a high priestess in Gardnerian Wicca. She is considered one of the most influential figures in the development of modern witchcraft, having contributed significantly to the written rituals and practices within Wicca specifically. For anyone familiar with the Charge of the Goddess, which every witch should be, we have Doreen to thank for that, for her reworking of that piece. And then there's Margot Adler, an American author. By the way, my previous mentions were British. Journalist, lecturer, Wiccan priestess, and New York correspondent for National Public Radio. Her book, Drawing Down the Moon, is probably the next one I will always have on the shelf. I don't know of any witch during my active coven days who hadn't read this book, and there is no denying in my mind the significant impact of it. And finally, we head back to our influential ladies across the pond with Margaret Murray. Margaret Murray was a British Egyptologist, archaeologist, anthropologist, historian, and folklorist. She was born in India in 1863, and she was the first woman to be appointed as a lecturer in archaeology in the United Kingdom. She wrote extensively on witchcraft and the witch trials. As far as I know, she was not actually a witch herself, did not connect herself to any witchcraft, but her witch cult theory can be successfully argued as the starting point for modern witchcraft and Wicca. As mentioned, this list is by no means exhaustive and highlights only a very few of the women who I found and admired along my witchy journey, and it does so very briefly. If you'd like to hear more about influential women in witchcraft, feel free to let me know and make suggestions in the comments. Also remember to let me know who you have found to be the most influential witches along your journey, male or female. I hope you enjoyed this short little snippet introduction to this theme. And until next time, everyone, blessed be.